Ah. Podcastica.
Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. I'm Ben.
And I'm Mark.
And this is our continuing coverage of Monarch, Legacy of Monsters.
And this episode, we are covering Monarch, Legacy of Monsters, episode 5, The Way Out.
I was very pleased with this episode.
Well,
I don't know about you.
The last episode.
Well, yeah, it was not a high bar. it wasn't hard to beat last episode. We had a lot to say about last episode.
Oh, yes, we did. And it was great that Rob could jump on and add to it. But this episode, yeah, I agree. I was a bit impressed with some of it. A lot of the writing within it based on characters that we finally get to meet, as well as learning a little bit more about other characters that we already are following within the show. So I'm glad that we get a few answers, actually.
A few answers, and I will say, I'm going to say this right from the top.
Yeah.
Man, my theory is holding so much water about the slowing of Lee's aging.
Oh, yeah, it is.
There is so much there. And even after this episode, I was like, my theory's holding water. I'm excited.
Well, that theory is valid.
So, before we get into the episode, though, I'm with you. Special thanks to Rob again for coming on last week. Rob Moda from Fantasy Picks Movie Edition podcast. And I felt bad because we invited him to come on before we watched the episode. Like, we're like, yeah, let's have Rob on for episode 4. And then I watched episode 4 and I was like, oh, I feel so bad. This is not a great episode. But he ran with it, man. And it was great having him on.
Yeah. Plus, there's a point in episode 4 with all the flashbacks that do relate to this particular episode that we do see in one scene at the very end. But honestly, I still think it was a filler episode. Could have been done for an extended episode for episode 3, or even making this episode 4 and then extending the intro with that information.
Wait, so you're not saying you think this episode is filler? Episode 5?
No, the last one.
Episode 4. Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, they could have utilized that to extend 3 a little bit and then do more in the very beginning of this one, and this replacing episode 4.
Oh, yeah, this should have been episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. But I digress. So going back real quick, before we start diving into the episode, there's 2 things that I want to discuss. The first is you and Rob kind of had some really big critiques about Godzilla -1.
Mm-hmm.
You in particular. However, since we last recorded, it now has higher scores on Rotten Tomatoes than Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
It is an incredibly high-rated film for having only a $15 million budget. And everybody else I've talked to who has seen it says, like, this might be movie of the year.
Which is surprising to me.
Me too, because hearing your critiques of the movie last week, and when I say critiques, I don't want that to come across like you and Rob hated the movie, because you didn't hate it. But you did have some critiques of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing those critiques, I was still excited to see it, but like I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just wait a little bit and go see it in theaters later. But now everybody I'm talking to is like, no, go see it in theaters now. Like, it's so good. I'm like, what the hell? Like, who was watching what? I don't know.
Well, yeah, you have to realize too, I'm a Godzilla fan, but
lifelong.
I kind of nitpicked it, but I'm not saying it's a bad movie altogether. I'm saying it's probably one of the better Godzilla films that have come out within the past 30 years. Now, mind you, Godzilla's been around since 1954, so obviously we've had other films.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I had a laugh when a friend of mine had posted it on Instagram. He goes, "Oh, I'm going to see Oppenheimer too," and there he is in front of the Godzilla -1 poster in the movie theater. And I just started laughing, and I'm like, okay.
I mean, Oppenheimer to me is my movie of the year. Like, I saw that in theaters and I was completely, no pun intended, blown away by that movie. So for all these people like making the comparisons, to it being potentially movie of the year, and now seeing it's getting better scores than Oppenheimer, I'm like, that's some pretty serious praise for that.
That
movie.
is very serious praise, I'd say. I could say it could be the movie of the year for Japan and America, but I wouldn't necessarily be the movie of the year for all films. I would say it would come in second if, based upon the appeal to it. I still think Oppenheimer is the movie of the year too. I enjoyed it when I went to see it in the theater.
Well, I mean, Godzilla is also a very niche audience too. So, like, I don't think there's even a chance that Godzilla -1 is going to make movie of the year, or even place in the top 5. I mean, to be completely honest with you, because again, it's a very niche audience. There are, fans of that, but it's not the typical award ceremonies movie film.
No.
That's going to go to, like, movies of the year are going to go to, movies like Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon, or, those kind of films. Godzilla's, for the fans, yes, might be movie of the year.
Yeah, exactly.
For the general industry, no, maybe not.
No. That would be like saying The Marvels is going to be one of the better movies of the year too.
I haven't even seen it, and I know that's not true.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't even seen it, and I know that's not true. But the other thing I wanted to bring up is something happened shortly after we finished recording. So we weren't able to talk about it on last week's episode, even though last week's episode released after this. But we got a trailer for the next installment of the legendary Godzilla Monsterverse.
Yep.
And we got the trailer for Godzilla X Kong.
Yep.
So what are your general thoughts on that trailer?
Well, I'm excited to see it. I'm interested in what where they're going with it, and within Legendary, Godzilla definitely has a different look to him, with the pink spikes and the eyes and the his atomic breath within it. Looks more like Godzilla 2000, because the Godzilla 2000 from Toho had the pink spikes and the atomic. Well, the atomic breath wasn't pink, which was weird in that particular film. But the running aspect of the funniest, I'm nitpicking at this, but the running aspect of it, of both Godzilla and Kong at the end of the trailer, kind of made me giggle, because it just gave me the feels of an original 60s and 70s Toho run, where Godzilla would do some weird things, and he's there jogging right along with Kong, and I'm like, okay. But it's also, I think that's also paying tribute to Legendary's paying tribute to some of what they did back in the 60s and 70s, gearing it more towards kids, because that's literally, because when 54 came out, the original 54 Godzilla came out, it was supposed to be a commentary, and that's why it was serious. And even though you look at it, it's a puppet and you got a guy walking around in a big rubber suit, but it was a commentary on the bombings in Japan in the 40s during World War II.
Well, we've talked about that before.
We've talked about it. But after a certain point with Godzilla, they were trying to make that more appropriated for kids. So I think they're trying to grasp more of the kid or audiences in America now with Legendaries, which is fine, especially now that we got a Kong like a little baby Kong or something like that now.
Yeah. And I've seen people online talk about I've seen a variety of different things, like people complaining that, oh, Godzilla, why is he pink? He was never pink. Well, you're wrong. He has been pink before.
Yeah.
His spikes have been pink. I think the atomic breath has never been pink before.
No, it hasn't.
But his spikes have been pink, as you mentioned, Godzilla 2000, and I think 2016 Shin Godzilla. He was also a pinkish hue in that as well.
Pinkish, more reddish. On
Oh
that
no,
one,
he was.
yeah.
Yeah, it was like a purple hue. I think in that. Listen to me sounding like I know what I'm doing. I looked it up. But I mean, and the other thing is, like, I've seen people say, like, oh, is this son of Kong? And I'm like, no, you can kind of tell by the trailer it's not his son.
Nope.
This is just another baby Kong. But what interests me about this is it seems like we're definitely going to dive more into Hollow Earth. We're going to get more of that world. It seems like humans do exist in the Hollow Earth.
Yep.
Because there's tribes of people down there. It seems like there's even some technology down there, which I got excited seeing that, because that leans even more accreditation into my other theories for Godzilla versus Kong, in that Lee has been to Hollow Earth before.
Mm-hmm.
Keiko fell into Hollow Earth and is potentially still alive.
Yeah.
So, I'm just the fact that there were humans in Hollow Earth makes me believe my further theories for Monarch is that that's where Lee went, and Keiko might still be alive. But we'll find out.
We'll find out.
I mean, especially if you think about the fact that, like, if he was in the Hollow Earth and it slowed his aging until he came out, and then he started aging normal again, and that's where Keiko is or was, then Keiko potentially, since she's been down there since the 1950s,
mm-hmm.
could still look almost the same age.
Yes. Because if she lived down at the role at that time, she could be ageless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
she could still look the same as she did when she fell in. But we're going to have to wait and see, because that's not what we got out of this one. But exactly. I'm excited. I saw the trailer. I'm excited. I did think the whole Godzilla popping out of the ground and running next to Kong was a little cheesy. But I don't care. I'm so invested in this universe now.
Yeah.
That I was like, yeah, just bring it on. Bring it all on. Just keep it coming. So, that said, let's dive into the episode.
Yeah.
Season 1, episode 5, The Way Out. By the end of this, we are halfway through the season. And I want to say 2 major notes that I got from this are, one, as we already mentioned, we're back on an uptick, because I thought this episode was miles better than last week's episode. And 2, we've mentioned that we have the screeners for the entire season now. We have access to watch until the end. I know I have said and committed that I'm not going to watch ahead, because I want it to all be revealed week to week. You have since failed that commitment.
Yeah, I did.
you have watched through episode 8.
Correct.
By the end of this episode, it was very hard to not want to keep watching.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
From your point of view, it's like I will really want to go see more. Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of like, I really wanted to keep watching. So, but as I do every episode as well, we got to thank Apple TV Plus for making the screeners available to us as well for that. So, starting off, I mean, we launched this episode we find out that the place that they landed in the helicopter was indeed a Monarch outpost, Alaska. And we see Kate and Kentaro, and, before the opening credits, they're in isolation. They are locked up.
Yeah.
So
May, Lee, all of them are in isolation, isolated from each other. They have their own independent cells. And they're being interrogated.
Are they being interrogated, or are they kind of just being kept apart so that there's no collusion?
I think it's just them questioning just to get where the information, what they're doing, and just so they don't collude on making their stories sound the same, so that they could, basically, that's why I say it's more of an interrogation. But yeah, it's just Monarch at this point trying to literally get their information from them. Why are they at these places? Why did they go to that particular camp? Where did they get that information to follow this? And why do they feel that Hiroshi's alive?
Well, I mean, and there's some very interesting things that come out of their time at Monarch, because we see that May is getting healed from her almost hypothermia, from the cold. We see Kentaro's isolated, Kate is isolated. Lee is not only isolated, but in zip-tied cuffs, because who the hell knows what he's going to attempt to try. So they have to. Yeah,
he's a 90-year-old man.
They have to constrain him. Well, but it's funny that you say that, because again, there's a couple things that come out of this before they send everybody everybody except Lee on their way. One of them is there's a mention of, so Duval comes in and starts talking to May.
Correct.
And reveals that she's carrying 2 passports. And one of them has the name Lyra.
Yes.
I thought we learned in the last episode was her sister. So is Lyra really her sister? And if so, why does May have her passport? Or is Lyra not really her sister, and it's actually a dual identity that she uses? And she claims, when people question, is her sister. But remember, Duval, when she looked at the passport, said, "This looks nothing like you." So I'm pretty sure it's actually her sister, but it opens the question, why does May have her passport? Did something happen to Lyra?
Good question.
Thanks for your input, Mark. Moving on.
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know you're kidding, but it's a good question. I would assume that's her sister's.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, just the fact that she said, May is a character who I wouldn't put past having multiple passports, to have multiple IDs or multiple, identities. But when Duval says, like, this picture, like, this looks nothing like you.
Yes.
That to me is the clue, like, okay, this is actually her sister's passport. But again, that now leads to the question, why does she have it? Like, I know there's really no answer to this yet, at least. Yeah. Well, at least not to me. You've watched ahead a couple episodes, so you might know.
I have terrible memory too, by the way. That's why
I know you do. That's why when you said, like, I watched ahead, I was like, that's all right. You're going to forget half of it by the time we play.
Exactly.
It's fine. So
but the interesting way that she comes up with it, Duval actually approaches May with that, because she talks about discoveries of a new species get a name, and usually the people that do it, the way she says, she goes, "Oh, shall we call it Titanus May Hewitt or Lyra Mateo of Tacoma, Washington?"
Yeah.
So I found that interesting, but it also gives us a little insight of May, where she originally came from. So she's from Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah, this is also true. And it's, again, I know May still resumes or still continues to be a very,
mysterious.
Mysterious is probably the best way to describe it, because I'm not getting a sense that she's evil.
No. But she's just hiding something of the truth within her, I think.
I think she's kind of still looking out for herself.
Yes.
Because by the end of the episode, we see that she uses that business card Duval left for her.
Yes.
To call her and say, okay, I want to go home. What do you want me to do?
Exactly. Well, how do you want me to play this? Plus, the fact that Duval knew about May and how she's able to work with everything with computers, she knows that there's got to be a backup to that laptop, even though they can't get anything off that laptop. It's got to be somewhere in a cloud or something that she backed up on her own. So she's getting all that information, especially since they were able to pull. I think when they sat Lee down, they showed a video from some of the archive stuff that they had behind him. And it was Lee with Bill and Keiko back in the day in the 50s.
Well, I don't even think initially the video that she shows is just Lee and Keiko because Bill is the one filming. But then she does show him a picture of the three of them together. And that's really interesting because you're right. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the fact that video, that film had to have come from what May has.
Yeah. And
right?
they said they found it on Kintaro.
Oh, wait. Oh, did they?
That's what Deputy Director, what's her name? Verdugo says to Lee.
Oh, I missed that part. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So then they know more than what they're leading on. But I mean, again, we do get the conversation later that not Verdugo, but Tim kind of he's the one that fights for them and says like, look, this is in their blood. Monarch is their legacy. Let's kind of just let them go. And Verdugo's like, okay, long leash. We'll keep them on.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see them, and that's why they let them go. So it seems like we have like Verdugo is playing on the side of Monarch. She wants to keep the Monarch secret safe. Tim is siding more with the family, and Duval is kind of falling somewhere in between.
Yes.
Which is a very interesting dynamic and seems to be what Monarch has always been.
Yeah.
Like there's just different elements to everything. Who's protecting what and where?
Who's there for their own thing? And we're not there with Apex yet, where Apex was out for their own thing. But yeah. But I'm wondering if I had this thought in my head when I was driving around this week for work, and I'm thinking, I was like, all right, everything's based around Monarch, and then the movies had with Kong versus Godzilla, that particular movie that regarded Apex. I'm wondering if they do a season 2, will they involve Apex, or does this flow into something with Apex?
I'm wondering if maybe we'll see, because you're right, we don't get Apex until Godzilla vs. Kong.
Correct.
In the timeline, we still have Godzilla King of the Monsters yet to go, and that is at the point where Monarch becomes a public company. So it might be interesting to see if they do a season 2 of this. I imagine it would probably still fall before King of the Monsters. So maybe we might see something that could hint at the origin of Apex.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
I you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if Verdugo is one of the originators of Apex.
Yeah, or getting it started too. Yep. Yeah.
That's what I would be. Maybe whatever happens in this season leads her to leave Monarch, and she becomes one of the original creators of Apex.
Interesting.
So, I don't know. That's a very loose theory. I don't know. But one of the other things we kind of touched base on it too. One of the other things that comes out of this whole thing with them being at Monarch is they are playing with Lee's age again.
Yes.
Duval and Tim have that conversation like, oh, he was one of the originators of Monarch, back in the 50s. Actually, it was the late 40s. Oh, well, then shouldn't he be like 90? Yes, correct. He should. That's what I've been saying since the beginning, is that something slowed his aging. And then even Tim kind of plays more into it
Correct.
and says, like, look, there were missions that were off the books, like that we don't know about. And it's like, well, if it was probably one of those.
Well, yeah. Apparently, well, what Tim says is like when Duvall asks about it, Tim goes, "There was a mission that had gone bad, but it's classified."
That's it. That's the way it was.
So that's how it's explained. So that right away shows like what your theory was and what we've been talking about with his age and how we keep thinking, how is this guy this old and look like that?
Well, I mean, and think about it. Like the mission that went bad, that could have been the one in Kazakhstan where
Keiko fell.
Where Keiko fell.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, and think about like all the flashbacks that we've gotten with young Lee, none of them have taken place after Kazakhstan.
Very true.
So
that was 1952. Everything else was
54.
Oh, 54, definitely 54.
I think Kazakhstan was 54.
We did go back to 52 though. But
yes.
Yeah, you're right, 54. And then
but none of the other flashbacks we have gotten of young Lee have taken place after
predating it. It's all them set up of Monarch originally with the military, and that's about it so far.
Which just leads me more to believe that he went after Kiko, however it's pronounced. We're just going to call her K. Because actually, I think that's what they do call her. I think they call her K for short.
Yeah, Lee does.
Yeah, so we're just going to call her K because I pronounce it differently every damn time. But yeah, I think that leads more into like he went after K. He wanted to see if he could save her.
Mm.
So we're gonna find out. I did make not a prediction, but did say it would be kind of cool if we saw it, and we kind of got it a little bit, of seeing Kurt and Wyatt share the screen together. It was such a moment of cinematic beauty when Verdugo was playing that film and Kurt was standing where Wyatt was on the screen, and you could see Wyatt's face projected over Kurt's when he was looking at the film with Kay. I thought that was so well done. Like we mentioned a couple episodes ago, seeing the transition of Kurt go to Wyatt and seeing them in the same scene together this time with Wyatt basically being projected on Kurt. Man, that was so great.
On a screen.
That looked so good. Yeah. You know, in a sense, that was them kind of sharing the screen together. Now, Wyatt wasn't really there, but, you know, they did get to share the screen together, which was kind of cool. I was all for it. Anything else on your end that you kind of want to bring up or talk about before we get into the San Francisco element? Because, this episode really is kind of split in two in that we get a lot from that Alaska Monarch outpost, and then we get more when they go to San Francisco. But before we go to San Francisco, anything else on your end from
the only thing I could think of was the airport scene itself when they're all debating. May's like, well, I need a bar. Oh, you get a bad star review. Oh, another star. Drop another star. Bar's not open.
1 star.
1 star. But we still see the outlining stuff that they have to do for anything Godzilla related. And I found it odd. I'm hoping this comes up later on, but there's a commercial that Kentaro looks at with Kate and May's there as well. But it's the Strata Secure homes. Apparently, they're underground homes, and they're underground, and it's like who wants to live in an underground bunker? And I think this is kind of a play on from G-Day and how people were getting paranoid and wanted to live underground so that they could get away from any Titan attack.
Oh, I don't think that's I don't think it's a play at all. I think that's absolutely what it is like, why live above ground where our buildings can be destroyed when we can live underground and be protected?
Yeah. And then I just love that they show that as like kind of like they hint it in there. So I'm curious to see if we get that later on, where you see somebody that actually has a home or something, where you see a bunch of people that have this.
Yeah,
but we get a little bit of that element in there, of very much like we got in Tokyo. With you see all the posters, the evacuation. Mm-hmm. Stickers on the floor, things of that nature.
Missile launchers up on an overpass.
But the homes, the underground bunkers. The first thing I thought of is like, a comparison, and I don't like to. I don't want to mention like another film, but it does allude to it, like Pacific Rim, because they were doing that. They were actually building a wall and stuff like in that particular movie.
Well, we do get that too, because they are told that San Francisco has been walled off. Like they do not allow people in anymore. But going back to what you had mentioned about the underground bunkers and, building homes underground, one of my favorite things about this series so far, in addition to the relationships with the people, is the fact that they are showing this they've created this monsterverse, but through, we don't get as much of it in the films, because the films are more about the monsters and the immediate danger that's happening. This show is doing a great job of showing us this lived-in world about this. This isn't just a universe where monsters exist. We are seeing the repercussions of that. We are seeing the adaptability of the human race because of that. Tokyo, the streets of Tokyo are being weaponized. They are doing evacuation drills constantly in Tokyo. People in Alaska or wherever they are talking about building homes underground. Like, this is a very lived-in world where we are seeing we are seeing the small little elements about this.
Yeah.
It's not like Power Rangers, where the Zords grow, defeat the monster at Angel Grove, and the next day everything's fine again until the next
there were no deaths, there was no injuries. Yeah. They did not take out like a whole section of the city and it's still in disrepair and they got to repair it now.
Yeah, no, this is a lived-in world. This is all the things that happened in Godzilla in San Francisco. We're seeing aftermath. There is actual aftermath. It's not, the city isn't moving on. It's desolate. And I love that. I love the fact that they're showing us a lived-in monsterverse.
Well, kind of when we do get to San Francisco, we get to see the Golden Gate Bridge the way it is already. We get to see that side of the city that Kate had gotten involved with at one point too, with the school. So I think we could probably move into that discussion.
Yeah, into San Francisco.
Yeah.
I will say, in comparison to last week's episode, where we got a lot of flashbacks with Kantaro and May, and seeing a lot of their background and how it didn't kind of work for that episode, and there was no chemistry or anything like that between the characters. We do get flashbacks in this episode as well with Kate, but the huge difference is these flashbacks worked. We learned that the reason why Kate was on that bus wasn't just because she was a guardian. She was those kids' teacher. Those were her students. That adds so much more to the PTSD that she is living with. We find out that she was in a relationship. Not only was she in a relationship, but she was unfaithful.
She was literally in 2 relationships.
Yeah.
Did she get the key in that scene when you saw that chick in bed with her? Did she I think she had the key there.
She had the key, yeah.
So, yeah, it was like that debate and also that there's a discussion too, and during that flashback, she was with May at that time when she was having kind of like a panic attack, and it was flashing from that particular scene too, and then how she felt that she's not a good person.
Every person she has ever dealt with or been involved with, she has let down.
Yes.
And she's not only living with the guilt of that, she's living with the guilt of never being able to resolve that. You know, she let down those students because she's the one that led them on the bus. She's
Yes.
the one that went on the bus and she couldn't save them. She let them down in her mind. She let down her significant other. I'm trying to remember. I think
Her name?
Danny. I think Danny was her name.
Okay.
Danny invited her to move out of her apartment and move in with her, made a commitment to her, and Kate let Danny down by being unfaithful. You know, and I think, you know, she probably let that other woman down too, because that other woman probably did not know she was in a relationship. So like she is living with two forms of PTSD. She is living with post-traumatic stress of an event that was horrible to go through, but she's also living through a mountain of guilt.
Yeah.
So she is somebody with the weight of the world on her shoulders. And the flashbacks, unlike last episode, do a great job of making us feel that.
Yeah, she can't find a justification in her resolve to get past that, too. And that's also inclusive with her own father, Hiroshi, for the fact that how he up and left and how she could have, you know, she felt she could have stopped him or stopped him from disappearing, I guess. But yeah, it's really hard, and to see somebody suffering from that. The writing was done very well with how they approached it, I thought. Did you notice the name of the coffee spot that they had? Her and Danny would go to every morning. What it was called?
Oh, I know I saw it, but it didn't click with me. Why? What was it?
Grounds Hero.
Oh, Jesus. That's like punching you in the face with it. God damn.
I looked at that. I'm like, all right, what's the name of the coffee? Oh my goodness. And it's like, you see it. It's like grounds. It's like an explosion. But I'm like, did they mean it to be zero? But it's an H there for hero. I'm like, okay.
That's funny. I mean, it's very ironic, and I'm sure it's done intentionally.
Oh yeah.
That's funny. Now that I know what it is, that's really funny.
And to top on something that Rob had mentioned, you remember how he was talking about some sort of connection between Kate and May?
Yeah, I thought about that watching this episode.
So I kind of got those vibes too now with this. And it was really strange. But also I liked the fact that Kate and Kentaro came together a little bit, even before she blew up on him and having her breakdown. Yeah,
there was definitely a little connection between them this episode.
Yeah, they were singing the commercial or jingles that their father used to do for them, and then they were just singing them through. And you could see them getting along a little bit.
And it was nice that they actually connected over that. Yeah. Like they saw something that they both had in common. Like, yes, they have a lot of things in common in that their father was leading a double life. They were on opposite ends of it. But while they were on opposite ends of it, there was something there that kind of brought them together and made them meet there in the middle and connect. And it was actually really nice to see Kate smile.
Yes, finally.
Yeah. I mean, she goes through some pretty bad trauma after that when they're being chased by the government agents. But But it was nice for a moment to see her kind of let go a little bit and smile and be happy.
Yeah. A lot of this had to do with a lot of resolve too, between not just for her and Kentaro getting along, but also with her and her mother, and Kentaro in the mix with her mother as well. So we finally get Tamlin Tomita as the mother, Carolyn.
We kind of knew that was coming.
Yeah.
But I was so happy to see it.
Same here.
Because, it was nice seeing Tamlin Tomita, but the moment I saw her, of course, I'm like, Kumiko! It's Kumiko! Because the last time we saw her in anything was when she returned to Cobra Kai.
Yeah, that was the last time I remember seeing her in anything.
So, which was only, I think, like a year or two ago. I mean, she might have done other work in Japan, but since then. But I think anything like in American we've seen her in, I think since this was Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was kind of nice to see her. Yeah, I'm looking at her IMDb now. She did Cobra Kai in 2021 or 2020. She did a movie called The Right Mom in 2021, and then she did some voice work on Blue Eyed Samurai for Netflix, where she only did like 2 episodes. But yeah, she, and then we see her finally as Carolyn in Monarch. Wait, she was in Picard?
Interesting.
I don't remember her in Picard. Says she was in 6 episodes of season 1 of Picard. I don't remember
6 episodes. Commodore O.
She was the Commodore. She was Commodore O. Don't remember that at all. But now I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch Picard.
Go back and rewatch it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was nice seeing that. And it's funny because I kind of, when we meet James, which is the gentleman who comes and picks them up from the airport, immediately I got the sense of like, oh, this is who she's involved. This is who her mom is involved with. The reason why Kate does not like this man is because he's moving into her father's position. So I kind of got that sense. And then even at one point, Carolyn says, my work friend, calls him her work friend. But then Kate confronts her mom about it, later on towards the end.
Yeah. Yeah. She actually, and even Carolyn says he's waiting for me to be ready, which makes sense because she has to get a resolve of everything that happened with Hiroshi just up and leaving. Her awareness to some degree that there was another woman, and she knew that he had a dual life in some way. And the reason why she sent Kate there was because after G-Day, Kate was locking herself and secluding herself into the in her room and not doing anything. She was just stagnating and feeling depressed about her. That's why Carolyn pushed her to go. But also, Carolyn also didn't want to see for herself exactly that, that these keys that she has for this apartment and its lease were of the other people in Hiroshi's life, which was Kentaro and his mom.
Yeah.
But also it was a resolve with that too. If you think about it, it was like just her finding out the news, especially when she meets Kentaro and then how Kate approaches saying, I just told you dad's son here from another woman and you just invite him in. And the fact that Carolyn, I think, already accepted that, but she was still that whole struggle with the box and him trying to help out was a little bit thrown off on Carolyn. But you see later on that she kind of deals with it in her own way. She resolves that issue. Same thing with with James being in her life and explaining that to Kate. So.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that moment with the box too, because I was going to bring that up, and that was, you're right. Like it's one thing for Carolyn to invite Kentaro in, and especially knowing like, hey, like this is Kentaro Randa, like meaning this is your husband's other child, from another woman. And it seems like Caroline is trying to put up like a strong face for Kate in saying like, you guys must be tired, please come in. But we see in that moment when she kind of fumbles with the box and Kentaro bends over to help her, like she kind of flips. I mean, she doesn't flip out, but she kind of struggles with it. And she's like, no, I got it. And like kind of pushes Kentaro away. Like it's a little bit of a break for Caroline because she's trying to be strong, but you can see it's very difficult for her to do it.
Yeah, she's trying to be strong for herself and for her daughter and confront the issue at hand, which is very adult and very understanding too, and that shows a lot of strength within her.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially by the time that they have to go to the ruins. Now we know they work for FEMA, and that's what they were been gathering all the stuff from the sites that were closed down. They have access to that to get people's personal property, which has been blocked off from the regular public. So her and James go in there and collect all, people's personal property that were lost during G-Day just to get back. Because a lot of people didn't want money. They didn't want to have all this other stuff. They wanted their older stuff.
They wanted possessions.
Possessions. Yeah. So that's how that we find their way to get in to go to Hiroshi's office at that point.
Which, okay. So if I were to nitpick any one thing about this episode, because I did find it kind of cool when they're in the ruins of San Francisco and it's nighttime, Carolyn tells them like, you have to be back here by 8 a.m. because that's when we're leaving. And if not, you are stuck here and they're going to treat you like looters. Because nobody's supposed to be in the city during the day. So like, if you're stuck here, that's it. There's a moment where, like, as they're walking through the ruins, the building shifts, and Kate says, like, "Oh, well, a lot of these structures underground aren't holding up, and it's causing a lot of like buildings to just randomly fall." And I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. But now, where are you headed? One of the still standing tallest structures in San Francisco after you just got done saying that buildings can randomly fall.
Correct.
I'm like, okay, yeah, have fun.
I was expecting. Yeah, I was expecting a Cloverfield event where the building would shift and fall onto another building.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting to, because I was trying to make this point earlier and it kind of got away from me. Seeing them walk through the ruins at night gave me a lot of kind of The Last of Us vibes.
Oh yeah, just how desolate it looks and how
without the clickers and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah.
Which was really cool because I loved The Last of Us. So, kind of getting that vibe from it too. But yeah, it's like hearing Kate say that buildings can just randomly collapse because of the ground underneath of them. And then where are we going? Oh, that tower. No, sorry.
If I was May, I'd be like, have fun, guys. I'm going back.
Exactly. Like, okay, Kate,
He's not my dad.
Yeah. I know you guys want to go to his office to solve the mystery of what happened to him, but I'm going to wait down here.
Yeah.
Because that's not happening. It's like, so like I thought about that and I was like, well, like maybe they'll add an element of while they're up there, like the building will start creaking. But shift. They didn't do anything with it.
No,
like I wasn't expecting the building to just fall, but at least maybe play with them a little bit.
Yeah. There are three people moving around a building that is a possibility if with the weight of their bodies going from room to room looking for this office, it's shifting.
Well, I think Kate knew where her dad's office was. I just don't think she had ever been in it.
Yeah. I'm sure
So
they could still see some of the directories at the very beginning in the lobby.
yeah, but I mean, but again, this is very nitpicky. Like it didn't take
Yeah.
away anything from the episode for me.
Nah. The venture to get there with the flashbacks with Kate were done very well. Like you already mentioned them all with the girlfriend, how she kind of snaps at Kentaro at one point. We talked about that, but we get to see a little bit more of Godzilla from the different perspective shots from that particular G-Day from 2013 or 2014, which was pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, like how going back to my earlier point about the flashbacks and how they worked with this episode, like the flashbacks last week of seeing Kentaro lying on the snow and then turning and seeing May next to her, or walking into the building and seeing like his art installation and all that. I was like, this is kind of weird. I kind of don't get this.
Yeah.
But this week, with them kind of, running from the federal agents
Mhm.
and and hiding from them and running into the sewer or running into the train lines and the underground subway stations and trying to hide from them, those flashbacks work because we're seeing a trigger of Kate's trauma.
Yes.
That's why the flashbacks worked this week. Like it flashes back to the things that Kate was going through before G-Day happened or on the same day as G-Day. And these are things that we can feel Kate kind of snapping to because now she is in this area where she experienced all this trauma and she's going through another situation again of being chased by the government, which is triggering this trauma. So in that sense, the flashbacks really worked in this episode.
Well, they relate to what the events are going on currently with her, and you're able to see a pattern with what's going on with her. Whereas last episode, it's like, oh, I'm just going to hallucinate about my dad at my art gallery. Oh, I'm going to hallucinate about May right next to me while I'm in the cold. And, oh, hold on, wood shavings that can go away. So,
which we get wood shavings again in this episode, but it's more believable because there's no wind or snow. They're just sitting on a desk.
Yeah. That's no windows are blown out in that building too.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not a lot of stuff that seems very hard to believe.
The only relation to last episode in comparison to this is when, it's a callback too from when Kentaro and Kate went to his office in Japan and they pulled the map and you see the safe behind it. In this case, it's the same map with pins on it, just the same. And he goes, "Oh, there's nothing there. That's what we were here for." And then they come to that realization of the map that did they have a tablet at one point?
Yeah, it seems like May backed everything up to a tablet.
Okay. And they had one of the other maps that were on there from, I think it was Bill Randa's maps that had markings on it.
Yeah.
So the relation between the last episode and this one is Kentaro's art. His first art installation was about projected images, which is what one of the flashbacks was in the last episode, and then how putting on putting one image on another can reveal something completely new, which makes sense, but it's like they utilize the tablet. He puts pieces of paper, marks it with the pencil, puts it to the light, and then it projects onto the map, which gives you other locations of Titans, I believe. So we see San Francisco, Alaska, and they mention Africa.
Yes.
So apparently this is the path supposedly that Hiroshi is taking. Which is,
it kind of reveals, the there's a lot of different little elements that kind of play into this. When they're pointing up to the building, Kate tells, Kentaro and May, well, Dad did like a view. Now we know why he liked that view because he was using that. And yes, you're right. This was Bill Randa's information, but let's not forget Hiroshi had it. He had it in a safe in his office in Japan.
Yeah.
So he had the actual map before May backed it up on the laptop and then the tablet. But you said something very interesting in how and it didn't click with me until you said it. You mentioned how Kentaro said, like, in my last art installation was about projecting images over another to reveal something.
Mm-hmm.
What happened earlier in this episode? Verdugo was showing Lee the video.
Yes, which was projected over him.
Which was projected over himself. Does that mean something? Or is that just playing into symbolism of the episode?
I think it would play more into symbolism within the episode.
I don't know. I really...
Maybe a little foreshadowing of what we got at the very end with Kentaro.
I mean, what did we get at the end with Kentaro?
No, with him and his
well, that so
images.
That's what I mean by like the symbolism, like seeing Lee projected on Lee, and then later in the episode we get another something projected onto something else. So like you're right, it could have been foreshadowing, or could it be that like Lee is younger than we think he is? By showing us Wyatt on top of Kurt. I don't know. I could be reading way too deep into this. But it is what it is. But one of the things that like I found very interesting too is we get that conversation with Tim and Verdugo and Duvall, and there's a mention. There's a mention of a line of dialogue from Godzilla in this episode. And it's when Lee was talking to Verdugo and saying how Monarch has been wrong about everything. And he mentions the whole, let them fight. We were wrong about that. That's the line that Serizawa says in Godzilla about letting
King of the Monsters.
No, wait, is that King of the Monsters, or is that in the original Godzilla when it comes to... Oh, no, wait a minute. Let them fight doesn't happen until Godzilla versus Kong, I think.
Yes.
Hold on. I got to look this up while we're talking.
I think you're right with Godzilla versus Kong.
Let's see. Godzilla... No, it's from Godzilla 2024. It is a scene with Serizawa, and he says, let them fight. And it's Godzilla probably in regards to from 2014. Yeah, it's he believes Godzilla will solve the problem of the Muto instead of military bombs. So he wants to let them fight so that we're not like firing bombs on our own city just to try and destroy these monsters. He's telling them it's him saying, let them fight. Serizawa says, let them fight.
Mm-hmm.
Because he thinks Godzilla is going to win, and he does. So, yeah, I mean, I was going to say it would have had to have been from 2014 because that was what he was referencing was G-Day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I found it interesting when he said like, "Oh, how wrong was that?" And I was like, "Oh yeah," like he just mentioned "Let Them Fight" from Godzilla. That was kind of cool.
There was also another mention of 2014 with Shaw when Verdugo was talking to him, and he was saying,
that was the scene I was talking about. The Let Them Fight scene.
Yeah. He kind of mentions, he gives the argument of what if Godzilla didn't win, and then he poses that argument. So the world would be full of those Mutos because they were looking to throw some eggs down.
What? Yeah, I mean, which is a legitimate argument. Like, what would have happened if Godzilla didn't win?
Yeah. They're I see Monarch as like changing, because it's like we see that conversation. We know Lee was the founder of Monarch, one of the founders. He's there. He's also against them, their ways of what they're doing and hiding. But he's also got, it seems like he's got his own agenda too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of prevalent in the last episode too, the way he treats the Randa kids. It's like when he sends Kintaro on his own way, and then Kate's with him. So
Well,
it's
and
probably in
we
your
kind of
face.
and we kind of talked about that a little bit, either last episode or the episode before, when we were talking about like he went to try and rescue Kay, and maybe there was something that drew him away from it, and now he's trying to get back.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what his goal is, and he's using these kids to get there. Again, there's also we've talked about the possibility that there was a relationship between Lee and Kay. So, which I still believe. I still believe there's a potential there. There's a potential there that Hiroshi is actually Lee's son,
Lee's kid,
and not Bill's. Making Kate and Kintaro his grandchildren. That we got to see how that plays out. I don't know if you already know, but obviously if you do, don't say anything.
I didn't say a word.
I know you didn't. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Lee kind of like Shaw has his own objectives.
Yeah.
I think the question is, are they for the good of himself and himself only? Are they for the good of the Randa family? Are they good for the good of the human race? Like, we don't know to what extent.
Yeah, that's still a question in my head.
Yeah. So I like the fact that, Verdugo calls out Tim and saying like, well, I wasn't the one that kidnapped them. And he's like, yes, mistakes were made. Yes, mistakes were made. Which is something I called earlier too, that like he probably just went about it the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it was fun. It was fun hearing that. I'm looking at my notes. I think I covered everything I have for this episode.
Same here. The only cute thing that I thought about it was when they are in and they're being hunted by the soldiers. Before that actually happened, Kintaro picks up a bag of chips and she goes, "Oh, they'll get you for looting. That's what they were looking for." He goes, "Not if I eat the evidence."
Yeah.
But then later on, it comes into play too because of the cats around there. And I think Carolyn mentioned that the cats were a big thing in the city itself. And Kintaro uses that a way for them to show a distraction to the soldiers. Because he throws the bag and then the cats start eating it. But also the cats come into play of finding a way out of one of the buildings that they were stuck inside.
Yeah, I mean, and even the soldier was like, "Oh, more of those damn cats." So, I mean, it is a well-known thing that cats have kind of taken over that. But I'm wondering if there's even more to that too. Why are cats taking over?
Good question.
Why are there a lot of cats in San Francisco? How is it that they survived? And they're kind of breeding within this area and just kind of taking over the area. Cats are very big in Tokyo. So is there a way that cats are getting from Tokyo to San Francisco? Is Ben way overthinking this?
I think you are.
I think he probably is. But
and you like cats anyway, so it's all right.
I have three of them. I am a cat gentleman, and I happily admit it. But yeah, I think I'm kind of just, I'm kind of
you're projecting
a little bit. Yeah, projecting onto something else.
Yeah.
Any other notes from the episode then before we move on to feedback?
No, not really. The only thing I have would be a couple of quotes.
Yeah, go for it.
One of them was from Lee to Verdugo, and it was during that conversation we were talking about, and he goes, "The world is on fire. I wanted to do something about it." And that was the reason. It's about why he didn't attempt to escape after the decades of being stuck in Japan at that point. Or where was it? Was it Japan? Yeah, it was
I think
Japan.
it was in Japan.
Yeah. So so basically he found a calling because of the kids, because the kids sought him out, and he found it as a way and the reason why to get out.
Yeah. Any other quotes?
Yeah, just one more, and it's from May, and it's literally what she says to Kate at one point when Kate's having her panic attack. The only way out is through. And then out of the blue during that time, like when Kate starts to calm down a little bit, then Kentaro comes in and says he found a way out just to follow the cats.
Yeah. And it got them through.
And we got them through.
Got them through. Cool. So then that leads us to feedback, the feedback section of the podcast. And we have a couple. We have 2 voicemails because we actually had one come in as we were recording. So we have 2 voicemails now to play, as well as some an email and Facebook feedback. So I'm going to start with the email feedback first because this actually came in last week and I forgot to read it. And I promised them that I would. So this one comes from Joe Levine. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And he says, on Monarch, because of this series, I decided to rewatch the film series. In Kong Skull Island, we see Bill Randa on his first trip to the newly found Skull Island, eaten by one of those lizard monsters. No question, he did. So how in the world is he seen running to the coast of Skull Island and throwing a bunch of records into the ocean that he definitely didn't have on his arrival? Nobody had a clue what was on that island before they arrived, and when. He was never really away from his military group. Otherwise, really loving the show and the podcast. Keep up the great work.
That's a good reference. Yeah, he was definitely eaten by a skull crawler.
I do remember that. I don't know. I really can't comment or theorize unless I go back and rewatch Skull Island, which I want to do anyway.
Yeah.
I actually want to rewatch both Godzilla and Skull Island before, hopefully before next week. So
yeah.
Well, I'm going to rewatch I want to rewatch all 4 of them before Godzilla X Kong. But I mean, before we get into like the second half of the season, of Monarch, I want to go back and rewatch Kong Skull Island and Godzilla, because there might be references that are going to come up.
True. Yeah.
So kind of like this one that Joe brought to our attention. So, Joe, I can't really comment or answer any of this. Maybe next week I will have an answer for you. Because I'm going to try and watch Skull Island between now and then. I'm kind of in the holiday movie mindset right now. So I've been rewatching a lot of that, a lot of those. So, but I will try and fit Skull Island. Skull Island's a Christmas movie, right?
No.
Oh. I figured. I mean, I was going to try with like Die Hard and Batman Returns. You never know. But thank you, Joe, for the email through the website, and I apologize that I didn't get to it last week. The next piece of feedback comes from our great friend Rima, which she is eventually going to be on the podcast at some point during the second half of the season, along with our friend Jason and our friends Daphne and Paige. We're all going to be hopefully on here as well. But Rima says, I like seeing the siblings starting to warm up to each other. The scene where Kentaro tries cheering up Kate was sweet. The scene where they framed present Shaw with past Shaw was brilliant. Agreed. Love that they got Kurt and Wyatt for this show. I could be wrong, but I'm starting to get the vibes that maybe there was something between Shaw and Kay. Yup. 100%. I agree with you. I agree. But thank you, Rima, for the feedback. And we're going to be reaching out because you're coming on at some point. before the end of this season. But that leads us to the 2 voicemails that we have for the episode. And the first comes from Sam, who has left us feedback already for the past couple episodes. So let's see what Sam has to say for this one.
Hi, it's Sam from Boston. Well, I definitely like this episode way more than last week's, and I really appreciated the podcast. As usual, you guys made me more invested in the show, and I really appreciated that I wasn't alone in not really liking that episode. I thought I was just being a grumpy pants again. But this week was really good. Kate's flashbacks were, this is what I wanted from the series. I mean, I loved it. As chilling as they were, just this is what I wanted. I wanted to see everyday people finding out that there's Titans, and not only are they Titans, but they're in your town and you have to run. Like, it kind of reminds me of Fear the Walking Dead, back when it was good in the beginning, of seeing like, what would this look like for us? And it allows me to sort of really be in the character's shoes and to connect to them in a deeper way. And it did it for me. Like, I really liked it. And Kate being a queer woman, I thought was wonderful casting, and for her character, I think it fits perfectly. It's not a gimmick, and Rob called it. I'm definitely seeing the chemistry between her and May. Not that there needed to be, but I liked seeing her character be so more dimensional, I guess, and I really liked her storyline with her partner. I'm just a little confused about the purpose of it, like that component of the flashbacks. I thought we were going to watch the partner get onto the bus and then go off the ledge with the kids. And like, that's why Kate was so grief-stricken and traumatized, compounded by her guilt that she was also cheating on her partner, because apparently cheating runs in the Randa family. But that wasn't what happened. She didn't get on the bus. So I feel like I'm missing something in there, that it couldn't even be that the trauma has disrupted her life, because that relationship and moving in ended before she encountered Godzilla. So can you guys help me out here? I'm not quite sure what the purpose of that storyline was. And then I also liked seeing the original trio, even in like a little projector flash. I thought that was kind of cool. I found myself missing them and their camaraderie when they're having fun. And we got a little bit of it in the first episode. It was kind of nice to see, them building that family vibe, or I guess a throuple vibe. I'm not sure. They have really great chemistry, all 3 of them together. So I'm game. But I liked that. Also, Kentaro needs to go sit in a corner and be quiet somewhere. He annoyed me so much this episode. I cannot stand this child. So I just, no, stop it. You're ruining this. And also, I hope we never see that soldier who said he wanted to shoot the cats. Really? I hope he's Titan food. Thanks, guys.
I agree with the cat one.
So going back to being a little bit confused with Kate and the non-resolution of her and her partner, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily that there was no resolution to that. I think it's the fact that her partner probably did not make it, was not a survivor. Neither one of them. So I think it's less no resolution to the relationship and more the having to live with the guilt of it never being resolved. There's no closure with that situation, and there never can be now, because Kate survived. They probably didn't.
Yeah, I agree completely.
So I think it's more Kate is living with the guilt of never having closure of the situation. And that's adding to the trauma of everything else. And that's a good point, Sam, too, that of cheating running in the family.
Yeah,
I didn't really think about that. So that was a really good point. But thanks again, Sam, for the feedback.
Yeah.
And that, of course, leads us to our weekly live Steving from our friend Steve Brown. So let's play that now.
Hello, Mark and Ben. This is Steve, and this is going to be for Monarch, season 1, episode 5. I haven't seen the title yet, so I don't know it. Ooh, The Way Out. Let's see where we go. So they rescued them in a helicopter just to put them all in separate cells? What? The son is an artist, in air quotes. Okay, Tim, trying to intimidate them as you're releasing them, it's not good form, prick asshole. Of course, they know they're not going to stop looking into Monarch. 1 star for TripAdvisor Alaska, because there's no bars open. So do I have this right? Kate, May, and Kentaro are going to go to San Francisco. And now here we have Shaw in another cell. gotta say something. I think that Kurt and Wyatt Russell are killing it as playing the same character. Wyatt is not playing a young Kurt Russell. He's playing a young Lee Shaw. And Kurt Russell is playing the older Lee Shaw. So they're going to play it differently. And to say that Wyatt Russell's not moving or acting like a young Kurt Russell, he shouldn't be. And the French woman is saying the same thing we've heard before, that Kurt Russell looks way too young to be 90 years old. So there's something that slowed his aging. According to Tim, it's classified. Okay, this James is a character. I don't know if we've seen him before or not, but I can't wait to get to know more about James. Okay, Kate just broke the news that Kintaro is Aranda, and her mom just kind of sighed. Did she already know that Hiroshi had another family? So she suspected there was something, but she didn't know. And so she sent Kate to find out. I guess I need to watch these movies again, maybe. But so Godzilla, who did Godzilla fight in that G-Day movie? Oh, so Kate took the bus instead of staying with her partner. Got it. Yeah, I may have missed something, but they made it to the father's office. Oh, no safe behind the map. So they found the path that Godzilla's taking through the Earth? Oh, so May just called the French girl, right? And she's saying that she wants to go home, what she needs to do. And Shaw is being moved somewhere. All right, another week.
Thank you, Steve. As always, yeah, Godzilla was fighting the Mutos in the Godzilla in the 2014 movie. There were a couple other things in there too, and I forget. The whole comment about, Kurt Russell or Wyatt Russell's not playing an older Kurt Russell, just they're playing each other as well. Or the criticism that Kurt Russell's not playing, or Wyatt's not playing a younger Kurt Russell, and he shouldn't be. Bravo, well done. Agree completely. You're right. Neither one of them is playing the younger version of the other or the older version of the other. They are playing a character.
Yes.
Completely different from either one of them. And the fact that they seem to be two different people, or they're being portrayed differently, could speak to the fact that there's a whole lot of time in between that we don't know anything about.
Yeah, this character has changed when they were in, according to Verdugo, seclusion or captivity for decades. So,
or wherever he was that led up to that captivity.
Correct. Yeah, if he was hanging around the tribesmen of the Hollow Earth.
We'll see. We'll see if that's where he was. I'm sticking to that. I'm telling you, I'm sticking to that theory. Yeah. So there's a lot of Lee Shaw's life that we don't know about that changed him. So the fact that they seem like they're two different people is fine. It totally plays.
Yeah,
it's totally valid. But thank you guys and everybody who left that feedback this week. We encourage you guys to leave us feedback for the episodes. Easiest way to do that is go to wilhelmpodcast.com and you'll find links to social media there for the Wilhelm podcast, or you can go to podcastica.com and you'll find links to the Podcastica social media pages. On both of them, every week we leave a feedback post. You can leave comments there, or you can just email your feedback into us directly in the form of an email or a voicemail to feedback@wilhelmpodcast.com. All right. Before we get out of here, let's do our plugs. Mark, what do you got going on, and where can people find what you're doing?
Well, it's easy. You can find me on Panels to Pixels podcast. You can find that on any player of choice. Literally, all you have to do, we have a Facebook page, which you could usually just follow us on, facebook.com/Panels to Pixels. We wrapped up Gen V, Rob and I. Invincible is done. We're just waiting. Right now, we're in a small little holding pattern until What If from Disney Plus gets released. What's going to be interesting about that when we cover it, they're actually putting out one a day when it gets released.
Really?
Supposedly, according to what Kirk Manley was stating on the Loki cast when they covered the Marvels. So I got to look into that. But if that's the case, I'll probably do 2 episodes every podcast, and I'll still do one a week. one episode podcast a week, like 2 episodes of What If on one podcast, and then obviously one podcast a week.
Oh yeah,
But
scheduled to premiere on Disney Plus on September 22nd, with a new episode airing each day for 9 days.
isn't that wild?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So I'll be doing that. I'll be covering that. So you can check me out. Check me out over there on Pounds Pixels podcast, Adrenaline Cinema podcast. You can find me there as well. There we cover everything: action, adventure, fantasy films, thriller, suspense, anything that gets your adrenaline going. I just released it today, and we mentioned it last week on the last episode of Monarch. We covered Rob and Ben and I covered Real Steel. So that's out already for your listening pleasure.
and yeah, we recorded that immediately after we recorded last week's episode of Monarch. We did a double recording last week. So but that was fun. That was a lot of fun coming on, and I kind of feel like Rob and I kind of hijacked that that podcast.
Oh, that's fine. I knew that was going to happen anyway.
Just because of my admiration for that film, and Rob kind of seemed to reciprocate that as well. In having a lot of love for that film. So I feel like we kind of took that over from you.
That's fine.
But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So I thank you for having me on again.
No problem.
Especially that movie, because I love that movie.
Yeah. And those the other places you can find me, as well as you can hear me here.
Cool. So as for Wilhelm, this podcast, depending on whether you're listening through Wilhelm or through House Podcastica, I encourage you to check out Wilhelm and listen and subscribe to that, wilhelmpodcast.com or facebook.com/Wilhelm podcast. If you're listening on the Wilhelm side, we encourage you to check out everything over at Podcastica, podcastica.com. And over there's a ton of stuff happening. There's something pretty much for everybody over there. Daphne and Paige are returning with Run for Your Lives. They're doing one of my favorite movies, which is Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. I love that movie so much.
It's hilarious.
That is a movie that really puts like a comedic flipped on its head look at horror, and it's so well done. Jason and Lucy, I think, are in a little bit of a break, but they're still doing their Walking Dead rewatch. Just go over to podcastica.com and or facebook.com/podcastica, and you'll find there's a ton of stuff over there that's happening. So if you're a Wilhelm subscriber, we encourage you to check out Podcastica. Just the reverse. If you're a House Podcastica subscriber, we encourage you to go over and check out Wilhelm. I'll also put the note out too real quick. I'm doing an end of the year episode for Wilhelm Maine, in which I'm doing a feedback special where I'm going to be talking about favorite Christmas movies, Christmas episodes, things like that. So if you're listening to this and you're willing, which I hope you are, leave me some feedback about that. Send me an email or a voicemail and let me know, what are your Christmas traditions when it comes to movies and television? What movies do you watch? When do you watch them? What movies do you avoid? All that fun stuff. Send it to me at feedback@wilhelmpodcast.com, and I'm going to use it for my year-end special. I think that's it.
I would say.
You're like, all right, I guess it is.
I guess it is.
Next episode, season 1, episode 6, Terrifying Miracles. Shaw finds an unlikely ally within Monarch as the team has a harrowing run-in. Kiko and Lee grow closer while at a military ball. So we might see some of that. Or if you're Mark, you've already seen it.
I can't recall.
Yeah. Good answer. So, with that being said, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for just being a part of this as we go along. But until next time, we'll see you guys on another episode. Take care.
Bye-bye.